I want to thank Sinn Féin for bringing this, and I want to refer to the legal opinion that they got, Minister. You might have looked at it, and they said there's a strong argument for putting forward this private members' bill based on public policy, and that they see no difficulty in putting that forward based on public policy. It's a phrase you didn't use, public policy, and you didn't refer to international law, and you didn't use the word genocide. And I listened carefully to you, and you were very specific in the different things that you said, and you told us that these bonds weren't listed on the Irish Stock Exchange, and you talked about the absence of detail from Sinn Féin, and then you went on to give other specific technical reasons why you can't do this, and why we can play Pontius Pilate and help the central bank to play Pontius Pilate and wash our hands of genocide. So let me just look at what we're saying with these bonds, these war bonds that are helping to carry out a genocide in our name while we stand idly by. The central bank has a role, as you know well, since 2021 to approve the issuing of the prospectus of these bonds following an analysis of the prospectus. And so the prospectus must be looked at from the central bank on the basis of the 3 C's. We used to have the 3 R's at school, now we have the 3 C's. They look at it from the completeness point of view, they look at it from consistency, and they look at it from comprehensibility. And those 3 criteria, they passed, and so the central bank is obliged, according to you and the central bank, to give the thumbs up to war bonds. Now, I absolutely think that's absolute rubbish, to put it mildly, but it's an utter failure to look at our obligations under Irish law and under international law and under the Genocide Convention. So let's look at Irish law in relation to the central bank. Article 5A, the bank is required to perform its functions and exercise its powers in a manner consistent with the Rome Treaty and the European ESCB statute. And then we have the Treaty on the Functioning of Rome, and you chose selectively. And I'm going to give you another article, Article 3, subsection 5, on the Treaty of the Functioning of the EU. In its relation with the wider world, the Union shall uphold and promote its values and interests and contribute to the protection of its citizens. It shall contribute to peace, security, the sustainable development of the earth, not just Europe, solidarity and mutual respect amongst people, free and fair trade, eradication of poverty, and the protection of human rights, in particular the rights of a child, the children that we see burning on our screen. An obligation to protect the rights of the child, as well as to strict observance and the development of international law, including respect for the principles of the United Nations Charter. You didn't quote any of that, Minister. You didn't quote any of the obligations that's on you as an individual, as a minister in the government, on me as an individual, on the central bank, and on the individuals in there to examine in a wider context and move out of the 3 C's. It's an absolute insult to tell us that they're restricted to looking at completeness, consistency and comprehension. Anybody that understands anything from the word comprehension, it's to look at what's happening here. And so to educate myself even further in this area that I didn't know much about till now, I go on the website to look at what Israel is telling us. And Israel is telling us that they are full of hope. On their website, advertising their war bonds, we are full of hope. We want to invest in life. Can you imagine that? We are full of hope and we want to invest in life, and the returns are great. A huge surge in interest in relation to this. And then we look at the broader picture and they tell us the risks for those investors that are going to invest in genocide. The risks are the volatility. Can you imagine Israel has the arrogance to tell us of the volatility in the Middle East, the volatility caused by Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza and Palestine. And they have that up as a risk factor, as if they're not part of that problem themselves. Such is their blindness. But I'm wasting my time condemning Israel and its government. My effort is to get us to make meaning, to make language mean something. And so we recognise Palestine when it was almost nothing left to recognise. We failed to push the Occupied Territories Bill. We let troops and arms through Shannon, through the air and through the airport. We trade with Israel through Europe and we've done nothing. We stood idly by when Amnesty said Israel are operating an apartheid regime. You know what your government told us, Minister? Uncomfortable with the word apartheid, don't really like that word, and fail to have a discussion in here of Israel operating an apartheid regime. We stood by when 5 human rights organisations were labelled terrorists and their offices ransacked. We've stood idly by when we see starvation used as an appalling weapon of war and push Palestinian people into ever-decreasing space and tell them it's safe. We've stood idly by as we watched a woman see 9 of her 10 children obliterated, killed, slaughtered. She's left with 1 child and a husband. I could mention many, many more cases. I won't, because it takes from the suffering of all of those who have died and who are alive but suffer. As we double speak from both sides of our mouth, Caig an dá Híomh comes to mind when I listen to what's coming from that other side. And indeed, I paid tribute to one of your backbenchers lately who made the best speech in the Dáil on what Israel is actually up to. You might look at Deputy Colin Burke's speech a few days ago in the Dáil, one of the best speech, and I ask myself, how can this be a member of this government that's standing idly by? I support this, and thank you to Sinn Féin.